Hi students, so today we'll be going through the second part of the extracellular matrix chapter. Okay, if you remember the first class that ended in this, okay, actually not this, we paused the lecture showing this picture because we went through a series of 8 MCQs which were these. Just a small recap: all of the following components of ECM except it was pectrin. Collagens make up 25 to 35% of the human body. Collagen most common in basement membrane is type 4. Elastin has got more elasticity and less tensile strength than that of collagen. Fibrillin is secreted by fibroblasts. A protein which helps in wound healing and clotting process is fibronectin. It was followed by the question which protein is closely related to basement membrane. The answer was laminin. And the last question was which is known as the molecular glue of life, and the answer is integrin. Alright, so today right away we will be jumping to the diseases of extracellular matrix, the diseases which are caused by defect in these proteins. Now note that there are hundreds of diseases of extracellular matrix related to ECM which will be covered in the subsequent years in pathology and medicine. So I will be telling you the bare minimum, the must know areas which are essential for first year medical students. Okay, so moving on, I will be turning off the camera off and on. So first thing that is required is scurvy. Okay, why scurvy is so important? First, scurvy is known by everybody. Okay, because you are studying it since your nutrition days, and you can see the features over here. Most of it you already know. All right, vitamin C deficiency is very common. So pale skin, sunken eyes, loss of teeth. Okay, the main thing about scurvy, the main complaint that the patient, especially the kids and adults, complain are bleeding gums. Okay, what happens in scurvy? You can actually write any problem from your nutrition textbook, from your plus 2 knowledge, anything. The main, let me tell you the short history of scurvy. During war periods this happened. Okay, the disease was main identified during World War One. Okay, why? Because the supplied food didn't have much vitamin C. So it's okay. What you need to know from medical, see, this is the exact picture that happens. The gums actually recede. Okay, the upper layer of the gums recede as if a patient had a very grievous injury, and it totally bleeds and brick red, so blood red, and it's horrible to look at a proper scurvy patient. Nowadays is not found because we take so many fortified foods that are added, have added vitamin C, but especially in lower socioeconomic classes and lower the community who don't take much vitamin C, these diseases are still found. So what happens actually? The main biochemical mechanism is this one: deficiency of prolyl and lysyl hydroxylases. It's a problem in collagen synthesis. Okay, these enzymes with the help of vitamin C dependent enzyme help in hydroxylation of procollagen. Remember your lessons of collagen formation, from tropocollagen to procollagen, and from procollagen to collagen fibril, from collagen fibril to collagen fiber. And as you all remember, glycine, proline and hydroxyproline, and this enzyme lysyl hydroxylase, it actually helps in hydroxylation of those proline and lysine residues, without which the triple helical structure of collagen will be impaired and connective tissue formation will be defective, and the changes will be observed in all connective tissue. Because you already know by now, collagens take up 25 to 35% of human body, so majority of all tissues will suffer due to this problem. So wound healing problem also happens. So see, this is not exclusive to collagen disorder, I mean not exclusive to scurvy. This problem can also happen in other connective tissue disorders. but just imagine the pain of this patient simply due to nutritional deficiency. This thing can happen. Okay, now moving on, the next disease, very important, is scleroderma. So guys, remember, prepare a short note on scurvy, and for viva examination the keyword is deficiency in lysyl hydroxylase activity. Now, what is scleroderma? Scleroderma is another disorder which is it is actually an autoimmune disorder. It has no source. I mean, the causative reason cannot be isolated in a specific way. It's an autoimmunity. Anyone can develop this disease, and it's characterized by chronic inflammation. Very important. Inflammation all over the body, along with widespread vascular damage. Vascular damage will lead to progressive fibrosis in various organs, and the main thing will, due to impaired vascular supply, will be defect in wound healing. Okay, you understand my point? So wound healing will be extremely defective, and this type of ulcer will again occur in scleroderma. So a thing that is closely related to scleroderma is CREST syndrome. So this will be definitely asked in viva. So it's requested to all of you guys to please note down the feature of scleroderma. Okay, and what are the components of CREST syndrome. Okay, the CREST syndrome, CREST, it will be again taught in medicine, comprises of calcification of subcutaneous tissue. Alright, so subcutaneous tissue becomes hardened. It is followed by Raynaud's phenomenon. Raynaud's phenomenon is a feeling of numbness in all over the palm. Okay, very painful, and it's extremely sensitive to temperature. A bit colder temperature will immediately lead to frostbite. Esophageal dysmotility, patient cannot swallow food. It's an extremely painful situation, and the patients who develop scleroderma and CREST syndrome literally cry and die out of hunger because they cannot simply do the process of deglutition, such a basic process. It is followed by sclerodactyly. Sclerodactyly means what? The palm is actually becomes clawed like this inward. You already read in claw hand, I believe, superior extremity has been done, median and ulnar claw hand. So due to connective tissue disorder, the hand becomes clawed inward, and ulcers become happen in between the web spaces. So these joints often become stuck together, so patient cannot even spread his or her fingers. That is known as sclerodactyly. And lastly, telangiectasia means a small vasodilatation, venodilatation, arterial dilatation or capillary dilatation anywhere in the body, leading to formation of red or blue spots. So vascular spots are known as telangiectasia. So remember, scleroderma, it is an autoimmune disease. The etiology lies in connective tissue disorder, specifically proteins related to extracellular matrix are at problem over here. Now what protein are at problem will not be specifically asked, but for your syllabus you need to know that it is the result of activation of unknown fibroblast, and especially the overactivity of T cells. Okay, I have written what triggers the T cell response is unknown for you guys. Okay, it's definitely known, and many research papers are going on nowadays. There are many pro and anti-inflammatory cytokines and various genes which plays a role, but those are still under research process. So they are all in journals, they are not yet in textbooks. Okay, so for you guys it's still unknown. And remember the features, or at least the names of CREST syndrome. You will not be asked what are the specific features in detail. Okay, now moving on, you need to know what are the changes in scleroderma. You see, since it is a connective tissue disorder, scleroderma will affect all throughout the body. Okay, so in skin what happens, it's a multisystemic disorder. Any connective tissue disorder is actually a multisystemic disorder. So in skin, increase in dermal collagen in the dermis. So as I told you, dermis thickens, there is calcification in the skin, so skin becomes like a rhino. Okay, trust me, I am not joking, skin becomes very thick. Okay, What happens in gastrointestinal system? Again, everything will be due to hyperactivity of the tissues, and it will lead to rubber hose like inflexibility of the lower third of esophagus. It means what? Esophagus is actually very rich in elastin. As I told you, tissues rich in elastin which dilates and shrinks every day. For example, heart, aorta, GIT, urinary bladder. So esophagus is one, because food material is passing through it every day. It's getting swollen and shrunken every day. What if that feature is lost? It means what? The esophagus will become rigid now, and therefore due to immobility the food cannot pass. Okay, therefore not only in esophagus there is loss of microvilli in small intestine and defective absorption, so malabsorption syndrome happens. So remember, thickening of walls of dermal capillaries, thinning of epidermis, and atrophy of dermal appendages. The features are actually very mixed, and not all the features are found in everybody. And the next thing is joint. So hypertrophy and hyperplasia of synovial tissue. So problem in motility of joint. Therefore, as I told you, one of the feature is claw hand. The hand will become immobile. Patient will not be able to move his hand because there will be synovial hypertrophy and hyperplasia. Alright, there will be muscle pain due to inflammatory myositis and thickening of interlobular arteries in kidney, and hypertension and renal failure. Very important. You just need to remember, in any connective tissue disorder, especially in mixed connective tissue disorder, connective tissue has an important part in basement membrane formation. So almost all, few affect more, few affect less, they affect kidneys. Alright. So what happens? Lung fibrosis happens. Okay, in lung fibrosis happens, and interstitial fibrosis and pulmonary hypertension is also a feature. Why? Because the capillaries and the arteries and the veins of pulmonary circulation, they also thicken. Okay, so increase in diastolic pressure due to, you know, the mechanism of systolic and diastolic hypertension. So the diastolic hypertension is due to increased peripheral vascular resistance in case of systemic, but in case of lungs there will be increased pulmonary vascular resistance, so it will lead to pulmonary hypertension. And lastly, as I told you, there will be myocardial fibrosis, because heart is also a tissue which is affected in connective tissue disorder. So just remember 2 or 3 of this, mainly skin and esophagus and kidney. Okay, that is affected in scleroderma. Next, see, this is the exact thing that happens, sclerodactyly and claw hand, and rashes in the skin in a patient of scleroderma. It's very painful disorder. So what are the other collagen vascular diseases that you need to know? Mainly they are called connective tissue diseases. Why? Because collagen vascular diseases are mainly related to connective tissue. Collagen is another name for connective tissue, commonly referred to as. Okay, so any connective tissue disorder is roughly referred to as collagen vascular diseases. Not only collagen is affected, many other proteins may be affected, but they are loosely called collagen vascular diseases. So what are they? You will see these cases and you will hear their names over and over again. They are SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus, RA, rheumatoid arthritis, Sjogren syndrome, SS, Sjogren. Okay, you need to pronounce from esophagus. My name is Khan, like that. Okay, Sjogren syndrome, MCTD, mixed connective tissue diseases. Now, all of these diseases have got a common feature. If you cannot remember any specific feature of each of these diseases, you can mention generalized features. They are fatigue, muscle weakness, fever, rash, joint pain, and skin disorders. You get my point? So these features will be present in all connective tissue disorders that you can think of. Okay, any disease that I name or that I teach you today, will have all these features. So just make it a point to remember these: fatigue, muscle weakness, fever, body ache, joint pain, and skin rash. So the next disease, now we are coming to more specific disorders. These will come as MCQ, and this will also be shown as cases if they are present. So number one is osteogenesis imperfecta. As the name suggests, it is defective bone disease. Osteogenesis, the formation of bones are defective, imperfect. So it is named as osteogenesis imperfecta. A patient will look like this. Totally, the long bones are actually defective. Okay, the short bones, the ribs, etc. are found, and the skull bones thankfully are well formed. Otherwise this would have been fatal and patient would have died at birth. But patient do not die at birth because brain development and neurogenic development are okay, but development of long bones are at fault. So type 1 collagen, and due to mutation in COL1A1 and 1A2 genes. These are genes that help, that codes for formation of various types of collagen. So these are defective. And what is the main complaint? The complaint are brittle bones, easily fracture, non-union, reunion, these sort of problem happen. So congenital bone disorder characterized by brittle bones that are prone to fracture. Okay. Now apart from that, you don't need to remember all of these features, but one feature you must remember that will come in physiology, that will also come in third year, that is in ophthalmology eye, that is this one, blue sclera. Very, very, very important. You will be asked causes of blue sclera. Over there will be connective tissue disorders. Okay, Marfan syndrome, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, osteogenesis imperfecta, these are all causes of blue sclera. So any defect in connective tissue, the sclera is also affected because it is rich in connective tissue. So remember, defect in collagen type 1, osteogenesis imperfecta, the genes COL1A1 and 1A2 characterized by brittle bones and blue sclera. Now 8 types of OI can be distinguished, not needed at all for you guys, it's a PG level question. So just remember the name, osteogenesis imperfecta. Similarly to OI, the next disease is this, okay, which is this type of things you have seen in Guinness Book of World Record. Okay, a person stretching his skin, maximum stretchability. Okay, these are nothing but Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, defect in fibrillar collagen. Okay, so it's actually a disease which is similar to osteogenesis imperfecta, but the main feature is not fracture. This is actually much better disease in a way that patients do not suffer. They often show off these things because actually, apart from other minor problems, the main complaint is extra stretchability of skin, like Mr. Fantastic of Fantastic Four. So but the problem is not only skin, the joints also suffer. Okay, it means you will see often there will be friends who can do like this. They will simply hyperextend the thumb and stretch it here. I'm not saying they have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, they have hyperlaxity of joint, especially this first carpo metacarpal joint, thumb joint. It can happen to anybody, especially if you practice for long. You know the full splits that yoga people do, that is also hyperlaxity of joint, but they practice and practice. Alright. However, in case of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, what happens? That is congenital and all joints are laxed. A patient can actually turn his head almost 180 degree, okay, like a ghost. So the thing is that you need to know, a disease that is characterized by hyperlaxity of joint and skin is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and one clinical feature is blue sclera. Okay, this is also characterized by problem in wound healing and easy bruising. Okay, if you give a slap to anybody, nothing will happen. Okay, but if you give a tight punch, there will be a blackening. Okay, but in these patients, a mild tap will also produce a big bruise. Okay, so that's the main problem in Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. The next one is Alport syndrome, AS. And now comes the knowledge of earlier previous class. So it is due to defect in collagen type 4, Alport syndrome. Remember, type 4 collagen, gene defective is col4a5. Now I ask you, collagen 4 is associated with development of basement membrane, the one organ in which basement membrane comprises of a large part is kidney, right? GBM, glomerular basement membrane. So defective type 4 collagen only will affect mainly the kidneys. Therefore it is also referred to as hereditary nephritis. There are other causes of hereditary nephritis, but Alport syndrome is one of them. And typically 85% of female patient only presents with hematuria. There will be no other problem. The problem of other connective tissue disorder, I mean skin rash, joint pain, etc., will not be there. The main problem will be hematuria, blood in urine. Okay. If you are being taught quantitative abnormal constituents of urine, you will know benzidine or orthotoluidine test is a test which is used to test hematuria, blood in urine. But apart from that, the main complaint being hematuria, other problems are sensory neural deafness, okay, nerve deafness, lens dislocation, that means eye dislocation, and problems in cornea, okay, because those are all connective tissue organs, and the generalized connective tissue is affected. Whichever organ has got basement membrane, it will be highly affected. And later hematuria patient will develop red cell cast, which is something will be taught better in pathology. Now Alport syndrome, you know, the main, if you are to select one disease which leads to end stage renal disease, ESRD, okay, it is stage 5 kidney failure, very grave disease in which patient will need dialysis and renal transplant. One disease you need to check is Alport syndrome, okay, because not only patient will complain of blood in urine, 90% of male patient will progress to end stage renal disease due to global glomerulosclerosis. This term will be taught in physiology, in nephrotic system, okay, and in genitourinary system, and also in pathology. Remember, you know, cerebrovascular accident or stroke in which patient dies suddenly, they black out and they have paralysis. This thing is also common in case of type 4 collagen defect. It also causes stroke, okay. So this is all about Alport syndrome that you need to know. Next, very painful disorder, very painful. You can see kids, it's looking like burn injury, as if blisters have ruptured, okay. What is this? This is the diseases of blisters. This is nothing but EBD, epidermolysis bullosa dystrophica, defect in type 7 collagen, okay. Very few things you need to know. You don't need to remember the disease or gene collagen 7A1, okay. Just remember it is one of the entries of non-inflammatory blistering disorder, okay. Non-inflammatory means it will not be associated with redness, okay, and to some extent pain. The pain is actually much less lower, but once blisters are formed, the nerve endings are exposed, and then patient will have pain due to external other chemicals and sweat. Now it is one of the disorders that may follow both AD and AR type of inheritance, but the most common feature is, I told you in the last Ehlers-Danlos syndrome that a simple tap will produce easy bruises, bluish discoloration. In epidermolysis bullosa dystrophica, it's a exaggerated version of that. Means a trauma, a mild tap will lead to formation of blisters, okay. A mild injury will lead to a big blister, and that will rupture and followed by this picture. Okay, you can see the babies step on their heels and they are actually the trauma sites, and then they rupture and leading to this painful picture. The next, we have come to the almost to our end of our class. This is important. Marfan syndrome will come as a short note. Remember, in the two short notes that you need to prepare from this chapter is number 1 scurvy and number 2 Marfan syndrome. Okay. So let me, this is due to deficiency in fibrillin 1. Okay, and Marfan syndrome will have many features, and which you need to remember. Okay, number 1 is Pigeon chest deformity. Okay, Cipectus excavatum, very important. Okay, patients will have unusually long extremities, large hand. Okay, patient will have a dolichocephalic face, it means a long face, large hand, large finger, lens dislocation. In heart there will be problems. MVP is mitral valve prolapse. Okay, mitral valve prolapse followed by dissecting aortic aneurysm. These are very important. You need to remember this from now till you go to wards in the next year. And the diagnosis is done by revised Ghent criteria that you don't need to remember for now. But remember, there will be subluxation of lens, means dislocation of lens, extremely long hands and long face, followed by pigeon chest deformity and dislocation of various other joints, and followed by heart problems. What are the heart problems? Aortic aneurysm and mitral valve prolapse. And the most common MCQ that is asked is defect in fibrillin 1. Alright, so we come to the end of the class. So let us quickly recap. What are the must know areas in case of collagen, lysyl and prolyl hydroxylase deficiency, wound healing defect and bleeding gums. In case of scleroderma, you need to remember the CREST syndrome and the 5 features of CREST syndrome. One of them is sclerodactyly and claw hand, and all the other features and the multi organs will be affected. And this is the picture of sclerodactyly. And collagen vascular diseases or mixed connective tissue disorders have some common features which goes as an answer for all your questions regarding these type of questions. What are the clinical features of SLE? What are the clinical features of rheumatoid arthritis, Sjogren or MCTD? Followed by osteogenesis imperfecta, collagen type 1 disorder, brittle bone disease, and this one is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, hyperlaxity of joint, easy bruising, followed by Alport syndrome, basement membrane, hematuria, end stage renal disorder, followed by epidermolysis bullosa dystrophica, easily bruising on trauma sites, and followed by Marfan syndrome, hyperlaxity of joints, increased length of arms and faces and fingers, followed by mitral valve prolapse and dissecting aortic aneurysm and subluxation of joints. So that's it for today. Remember to review and revise all of these disorders and along with the chapter that has been told. The link is in the description if you missed that, and feel free to get back to me with all the queries in WhatsApp group, and I will see you in the next one. Till then, bye and take care.